Hey everyone, I think we should be live on stream and in the Discord stages thing. Is it called stages? Everything calls it a different thing. So Ephemeral isn't with us today, so it's just going to be myself and Smoogie on the panel. I don't know if anyone else wants to step up from the team. I think Mango is around, but he's doing some management work in the background. So if this is your first time at one of these meetings, the general flow is that we just take questions from the community every 2 weeks. We've been doing this, and yeah, give you the best answers we can. If there's something we can action on quickly, then that's the main goal here is to anything which doesn't require huge development time and can be acted on. Like if someone points out an issue with the ranking criteria that's been ignored until now, that's the kind of thing we've been trying to move forward with these kinds of meetings. But we're also taking any questions you have. So whether it be about development or PP or any future of the game questions, laser, anything goes. We'll start with where we left off last week, which is the people that had questions but didn't get up to ask them. We have a list which was pasted into the channel. So if any of the people that did have questions want to appear again, that includes OM Codeman, Integer, Mr. Kirby, Rack, Taz, and Ikawa Ayumu. Ikawa Ayumu. But failing that, we can just start taking questions from the list. So let's go with Jet's left cheek. Or yeah, there we go. And if anyone else has a question, just raise your hand in the audience. That's how this thing works. Raise your hand and make sure you're not muted, and then we will go down the list. Jet's left cheek disappeared. So if they want to ask a question again, just try a second time. Let's go with HyperRev 101.
All right, you hear me?
Yeah, hey.
All right. Question. So about Osu Laser, when is that gonna be coming out?
That's a
You
question
know?
we've asked a few times. I went into quite a lot of depth in the last meeting, so I suggest to rewatch that VOD.
Yeah, I wasn't here for that one. Sadly.
Okay. Well, there's two answers to that. One is that it actually came out a few years ago, but I guess if you're talking about when will there be leaderboards
Yeah,
or the global leaderboards?
like the PP system, everything like that. If I remember correctly, last time I was
Yeah.
on it, they didn't
Yeah, so
have
PP,
one.
PP is already in, but it's not actually contributing to leaderboards. And the TLDR is that the remaining pieces of the puzzle are things like um, making sure that scores match up because there's a lot of gameplay changes in Laser.
Yeah,
So we've made a classic mod which is going to be applied to all the existing scores, so we can kind of have them on a uh, level playing field as such, or filtered away from each other. We're also updating the infrastructure right now to support storing the laser scores and the older scores, the legacy scores, in the same storage, so we can actually look them up and show them on the website and stuff. So all the pieces are gradually coming together. The timeline that I gave like a couple of meetings ago was 6 months pessimistically, 3 months optimistically. We'll have something up anyway. I don't know if it's going to be a permanent storage. We'll probably start with like a beta testing run where we may reset the scores if we find out that there's some issue with it, because there's so many beat maps on us that anything could happen. But yeah,
yeah.
that's the general timeline.
Thank you.
No worries. Uma,
Hello? Do you hear me?
can hear you. Yes.
All right. So with the coming of laser, will the clans feature still be a thing, or has your opinion changed about it?
Clan system. Ah, yes. I think we were. Did we call it clans? I think we were calling it teams. Clans has a bit of a. It feels a bit serious. So that system, it's been designed. Like we actually have the pages designed by Flight. The only reason we haven't really implemented it yet is that a lot of the features that people expect from a system like that are going to require uh, considerable development effort to get in. Things like at the bare minimum, you would expect there to be like a group chat for it. You would expect it to work in multiplayer and on rankings. Like you could actually see the group you're in, and there would be some way to do like multiplayer games, clan v clan or whatever. And those pieces haven't come together yet. So I don't want to push out like a system where people can join groups before we have all the other pieces in place, because I feel like people are going to start pushing for those extra features. And we already have so much that we are doing right now that it feels like something we should leave until the future where other things have settled a bit. You know, we've switched to laser, all the other pieces have come together, then we can start building out new systems.
All right.
So yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, no worries. Just to continue on that, Laser has a system called playlists, which is basically a time shift multiplayer playstyle where anyone can make a leaderboard, and then uh, the people that match the criteria for the room can play on that leaderboard for, you know, anything from 1 hour to 1 year. That's the kind of plan. So you can make custom leaderboards, and one of the thoughts behind that is you could make it team v team. So you set two teams for the leaderboard, and anyone from those teams can compete. And then it would aggregate the scores for each team, and that would be the result. So that's kind of where we're going with that. But yeah,
All right.
those pieces aren't completely completed yet, so we're not adding teams yet.
All right. Is there like an ETA for when that
Nah,
could possibly?
nah,
Or
I'm not
oh,
gonna give an ATA for now.
okay. That'll be it. Thank you.
No worries. Maybe 2022. We'll see. It also depends on what people want. Like if there's a huge push for teams, like if that's the primary um, thing that the community wants, then we can obviously prioritize. But it doesn't seem to be right now. Integer. Next question.
Hey, you guys, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, good. So, good morning. It's kind of scary.
Right.
So I've just got a question regarding file handling in Laser. So
Hmm.
as far as I know, in Laser, files are hashed. It's currently pretty sort of unflexible compared to that of stable. So, for example, changing skinning elements in a skin. Like, say, I
Yep.
want to drop a new cursor into my current skin. The
Yeah.
way I have to do it now in Laser is to go to stable, duplicate the skin folder I'm using, drop the new
Yeah.
cursor into the folder, and then export the skin in stable, and then bring that into Laser.
Yeah. It's
Um,
a bit of a process, isn't it?
yeah. So and like similar issues with like file handling for mapping as well, like
For VMAPs.
backgrounds or
Yeah.
MP3. Yeah,
Yep.
MP3 changes.
Okay. So there's a few. Have you used the skin layout editor already?
Yes.
Okay, so from the skinning perspective, there's two things I would bring up. One is that in that layout editor, you're eventually going to be able to choose the screen you're working on. So you'd go into the gameplay screen, and you'd just be able to click the cursor, and then there's going to be like a panel which comes up, which shows you the cursors from every skin that you have loaded into the game, and you'd be able to just change the cursor for your current skin to any other skin's cursor. That's the kind of direction we're going for at one level. And then the second thing is you'll be able to drag and drop new cursors into that screen. So the idea is that we don't want, like, one of my goals with Laser is to stop the requirement for people to be going around in Windows Explorer, dealing with files, because that's one of the main sources we had for random issues in stable, like the whole song select screen requiring the F5 to refresh, and half the time that doesn't work. That dealing with files directly is very hard. you don't know what's happened, especially when the game's closed, when you can't actually be watching the file system for any changes. So yeah, that's the motivation or the rationale behind the reason we've got the new file storage, which is kind of it's the file names are hashed, the files aren't hashed themselves, but it's kind of obfuscated intentionally so the users aren't deleting or moving files around.
That sounds more sick than I expected.
Yeah, and
It,
we already have like file selectors and directory selectors, which will be usable in the editor. We do understand at the same time that like mappers may want to run external scripting tools like OSB generators and stuff. So there is going to be the option to export to folder, and it will create a new folder, a temporary folder with your map, and you can update files in there, then import it back into the game.
cool, cool. Yeah, that's all I've got. So thank you so much.
Cool, no worries. Good question. Listen. Oh yeah, and Frenzy, just sorry to interrupt, but Frenzy just posted a link to the Laser wiki, which explains the file storage for anyone interested in the technical details of it. Sorry, Exen. Hello.
I have a question. Are you planning on pushing any advertisements for O2 Laser ever?
As in advertising the game outwards?
Yeah.
No, no. It'll just be how we've done it until now. It's just going to be word of mouth. The only difference is with Laser, we are going to be releasing it on mobile platforms, which means it's going to be on app stores. So you know that'll probably get a bit more traction for the game, whether we like it or not. But no, we're not doing any like paid advertising. It's just not my style. No worries. Yeah, I definitely think like when you release a game on mobile, even if it's just on the App Store and you're not going out of your way to give it attention, people are gonna find it and talk about it and share it. So I do think us is going to grow when we do that. I say that and I sound disappointed, and I probably am, because it means more work for us and less time to potentially make forward progress on development. Because managing infrastructure gets quite time consuming when the game is growing in population. Anyway, next question. They call me Lei. Smiggy, you should answer some questions. I feel like I'm the only one talking here.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hey, yeah. How's it going?
My question is there ever gonna be a mod that's gonna make Osu like really easier instead of the easy mode? Because most of the time the easy mode makes the map more difficult instead of easier.
Yeah, yeah, right. It's a weirdly named mod, isn't it? I mean, it was intended to make it easier, but with the way that mapping has evolved over the years, it definitely hasn't. Do you have any suggestions for how you would see an easy mod working? A real easy mod?
Like my first suggestion was like um in, to change the easy mode like that you have right now to like I don't know how low AR and difficult, but I don't know, and maybe easier to like slow the map. I don't know really.
Yeah, yeah, it's a hard one to. But well, I can answer that by saying that we are welcoming new ideas for mods. So if you do come up with an idea, bring it up on the GitHub discussions thing. And if anyone else figures out like how to make maps easier, then yeah, definitely post your ideas there, and we'll consider it.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
No worries. I do. There is a mod which isn't it isn't live yet on Laser, but it's like an auto aim mod, which like draws your cursor closer to the notes or the notes closer to your cursor. So that kind of thing could make the game easier. I don't know if it's considered like too much of a cheaty mechanic, but yeah, I do think that will be added as a mod.
Hopefully.
Yep. Okay. Leet speak Jacob.
Hello?
Hey.
I know that, or I believe I've heard that the Instaganat, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Instagram,
The
yeah.
yeah, it isn't being updated because I don't think I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
Yeah.
something that you didn't sort of like the format as much as you thought.
hmm
Um, do you currently have? I know you were looking at alternatives because I just sort of like looking at the progress for laser and seeing sort of, as time goes on, seeing
Yeah.
what's being completed and stuff like that. Something that I can
Yeah.
just pull up every couple of weeks and look at
Sure.
what's
Yeah.
happened.
Yep. So yeah, because I follow Star Citizen's development specifically. They have a really good timeline display, and that they have many people working on the development of their own tool to pump out their current progress from Jira, which is a system they use for tracking. We don't really have the development time to make our own tool, so that's out of the question. But I did spend like a whole day last weekend trying to find a good alternative that ticked all the boxes for replacing Instagram. And Jira was actually really good. Like it was the best to use. First of all, let me start by saying I'm not updating Instagram because it is kind of a crappy system, a crappy website, and it just doesn't spark any joy in me when I use it. It's like buggy and slow, and things rearrange themselves. So I'm looking to export that and bring it into a new system. But yeah, I haven't found one which I'm 100% happy with yet. I will. I do plan on looking at that again this weekend because I know that like you and other people have mentioned to me that they really enjoy that format, and I do too. That's why I made it, because I've seen other games do the same thing, and it makes it a lot easier to follow when you can see things happening on a timeline. And a lot of people suggested like using a card based system, like a Kanban system, but yeah, I personally don't like those. I find them very hard to follow unless we're having like one column per month or something, which isn't really how you're supposed to use those systems. So yeah, TLDR, I'm still looking, and it is on my list of things to do. Um, yeah, Jira was the closest I came. I tried a few others. I tried Monday.com and a couple of other web app systems. Someone else suggested that I just do it myself using something like Omnigraffler, which is just a visualization drawing app. But hopefully, I'll have something by the end of today.
Yeah, I don't mean to rush you or anything. Just I just wanted you to know that me and a lot of my friends kind of really liked when it was being updated, so being able to visually look at the progress. It's just a really
Yeah,
cool
yep.
thing.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I
And
appreciate.
also thank you so much for developing the game
No
that you've
worries.
spent a lot of time in. Thank you.
You are welcome. Okay, let's move on. Penguin. I think Penguin was on our list, wasn't he, of people waiting to ask? No, maybe not.
Oh, hello?
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Hi. We can hear you.
Cool. So I just wanted to ask a question regarding like song copyright infringement stuff.
Yep.
Um, I know in the past that there was the games run-in with like NeoWiz and Konami, I think,
Yeah.
but specifically with like 2DX content, it's been like super rampant these days. So
Mm.
I just wanted to know like whether the future looks good or not for that content getting to remain on the site.
Yeah, okay. So we've done our best to like inform users that they shouldn't be uploading. I mean, you know all that, but it is how it is. People have uploaded content that is in other games, and yes, as you've mentioned in the past, the publishers of other games in general, especially the Asian market of rhythm games, they don't really like their music being used outside of their game, and that's understandable. It's a cultural difference. It doesn't really happen as much for US games. But yeah, so we've had a lot of like batch takedowns from them in the past. When I say a lot, there were like 2 or 3, I think. That actually included beat maps that I created, so that it hit me personally for the DJ Max stuff. It's a bit unfortunate, and I can't say that the future is like uncertain from that aspect. Yeah.
It's been interesting because I've noticed like specifically 2DX stuff has just kind of like stuck around and always been
Yep.
consistently mapped. But like, DJ Max, you can try and upload a DJ Max song and it just gets like automatically taken down most of the time.
Right. Yeah.
So
I
I,
so I
I don't know
think
about the specifics of the
yeah, well,
infringements.
we comply with DMCA in general, but in the case of DJ Max, or if any publisher reaches out to me and sends like multiple DMCA in a row, and then they're also like, we would appreciate if you don't allow our content to be uploaded, I am not going to deny them that request. So that's what has happened there. We actually have explicit rules for those kinds of cases where companies don't want their stuff up in the first place. And that's
So
the
is
kind of
it
case where we raise it with the approval teams, and they handle that.
so for DJ Max, do you know if that's any song that's featured in DJ Max, or is it fine
Um,
if like an artist maybe released something outside of the game, but it was also in DJ Max?
yeah, so I can't really make calls on that. Song licensing is quite complex, and in the case like the case you say, um, one sec, I wasn't scrolled down. In the case you say where the artist has published outside of the game, well, those are the cases where we are actually reaching out to artists for the featured artist program, and even for artists which were featured in games like DJ Max, we still are reaching out to the artists, and in some cases, the music which was used in those games isn't licensed exclusively, which means it can be used outside of the original game. And those are the cases where the artist is generally willing to work with us. A lot of the time, it's not up to the artist whether they allow us to use their music because it is exclusively licensed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's kind of where the differentiation comes in there. I can't really give specifics on whether future content would be allowed or not. You can probably, if you're interested in a specific song, you can look it up on Google, Wikipedia, and see who it's licensed under, who the publisher is, and if the publisher is the game company itself, it's probably a no.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes sense. That was pretty much it. I also wanted to thank you though for the humoring us on the recent RC stuff with Mania. We definitely appreciated it.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Have you seen a positive reaction from the mapping community with the recent changes?
Oh yeah, no, it's been huge. Like we were getting a bunch of positive reactions to the hit sound and the relaxing the spread requirements.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I haven't really been following the conversation, but both of those have gone out now, so that was, I guess, the best thing that's come from these meetings so far.
Yeah, no, it's been great. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for your questions.
Yep. Bye.
Yeah, just on the note of song licensing, if you are a mapper and you're uploading to us, make sure you look into the licensing requirements. And I mean, we do have a link you should be reading before you hit the agree button, basically stating that you have permission to use the assets you're using, not just the song, but the visual assets as well. It can be as simple as just reaching out to the artist. We've had hundreds of cases I've heard of where mappers just reach out to the artist, and the artist is like, "Yeah, use my thing, use my song." Um,
Here's a quick text one.
yeah.
Will
Oh, we
us
have
ever
text
have
questions. Sorry,
Will us
completely
ever
forgot.
have a Steam version?
A Steam version. Will we ever release us on the Steam store? Yeah, I
No.
was really, yeah. Well, that's the short answer. I was really against. Back when I first developed us, Steam didn't exist, as far as I recall. But I never saw the need to put it on there. But there is a certain group of people. I mean, I use Steam to launch all my games, so it does raise the question, like, why don't we put it on there? You can put free games on Steam, and we could probably make it work. So yeah, maybe it's something to consider for the future, but it's nowhere near a priority. Like I still need to rewrite the installer and updater for Laser to be as good as the stable one. The end goal is to have just a single executable you can, drop on any PC and play. We don't want to have people installing Steam to access the game, but at the same time, yeah, maybe we can push to Steam in a distant future. It's not a priority. Because you can add games manually to Steam as well. So if anyone's interested in just having OS launchable from Steam, you can add a non-library game. There's a button somewhere. Cool. Alyssa O.
Oh, hello.
Hey.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I have like two things. So one thing is that I've started playing Laser recently, and I noticed that you can modify your tablet area from within the client, and it seems to override any existing tablet drivers that you have.
hmm
So let's say I'm using a tablet driver that has certain like extensions, like Open Tablet Driver. Sometimes they have smoothing, sometimes they have other neat plugins that you can use. And my question is there a way that we can decide whether or not, oh, use the current existing driver or use the OSU override?
Yeah, so there's already a toggle for the OS driver. There's a little checkbox next to the tablet button, which you can, as soon as you turn that off, it's going to use your built-in or your provided tablet driver. So have you tested that?
I haven't seen that yet. I guess
Okay, yeah,
it's
yeah.
just
So
a minor
there is
remark.
already a checkbox for
All
it.
right.
For
And
every
I guess
every input subsystem has its own toggle in Laser, so you can turn off joystick or MIDI or whatever you don't need.
yeah, it's good for the things to be modular, definitely.
Yeah.
And if there's one last thing, it was I don't remember, it was a few weeks ago maybe or a month ago, there's a pull request or something related that basically said that when you switch some maps to hard rocks, some stacks turn to perfect stacks, and I wanted to know how that was coming along.
Right, that's the case where it actually changes the layout of the maps, right? Because the stacking
Yeah, it
changes.
changes the stacking of the maps, yeah.
And that's been the case for, a decade or something, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the question is what are we planning on doing with that? Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if we want to change it for existing beat maps. But it's the kind of thing that we definitely will be looking to fix on Laser. If people are pushing to have it fixed in stable as well, we can just like bump the beatmap version and only have it apply to newly released, newly ranked maps. The reasoning for not having it apply to previous beatmaps is you would break replay playback and
Of course, yeah,
potentially scoring.
yeah, because I was thinking like it doesn't seem like an issue that in terms of actually making it, but rather the effects of it.
Yeah, and that's the case with everything. That's why Laser isn't ranked yet. There's so many things to consider when we want to keep all the scores that have been set for the last 14 years relevant. That's the hardest part of us.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Thank you.
No worries. Yeah, we
Alright,
do need
I'm
to
gonna
keep.
take a few more text ones.
Go for it.
With OS stable, you could put the entire game onto a flash drive, and you could run it right from there, making it portable. Will the same be possible in OS Laser, having it portable?
Okay. Did you want to answer that, or shall I?
Yeah, well, yeah, either of us can. It's already portable as far as I know. You can just place a framework.ini file, just an empty file, alongside, and it will run in the current directory, right?
Yes, and maybe not. I'd need to double check that. At the framework side, we do have a startup flag for portable installation, but I don't think that's exposed on the OS side. Like just adding framework.ini won't trigger that behavior. but maybe it
I
will.
believe
Maybe that's a
because I used that for one
okay.
of my tests.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the more less technical answer is that yes, we already made everything to support that, but it's just not exposed as a setting yet. Once we start to package the game with a proper installer updater, then yeah, it'll definitely be possible. The same way that stable works, if you put it in a directory which isn't the default install directory, which isn't app data, it will go into portable mode automatically. And there will be a toggle in the settings to change between the two. So if you did want to store OS in a weird place but still have it stored to your system configuration, you can do that as well. The other thing is you can already move the data folder to any location. So if you installed OS on a flash drive, you could then go into the settings and go change folder and put that folder on the flash drive. As long as the drive letter didn't change, it would work.
Or the other way around, you could just like install it on your PC and move the data folder to your flash drive.
Yeah, yep, definitely.
But I mean, that's not really like, you can't really like take your flash drive anywhere and do that. Yeah, technically you can. You can take like, you can install OSLaser on any other PC and then redirect the storage to your flash drive, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I got a chat comment on Twitch saying that ClickUp is a good alternative to Instagram. I'll have to look into that one. And yeah, someone else said, go on.
No, go on.
Someone else was saying that this is an advertisement for Monday.com because I mentioned them, but their system is actually pretty good. But what was my issue with it? They don't support mobile properly. A lot of people look at the Instagram chart on mobile, and that's one of the reasons I don't like Instagram is because it looks like crap on mobile. There's this huge like table view on the left, and you can't actually see the timeline, and there's no way for me to send a public link for it, which only shows the timeline. So Monday.com got that right, but it only displays on desktop. If you try and look at it on mobile, it's just like, please look at this on desktop. So yeah, fuck that. It's not an advertisement for them because they don't support mobile, so they should fix that.
Alright,
Did
I
you want
have a
to
few more questions
go on?
from last week. Would an official skin database ever come to us with ratings like aligned elements, unaligned, unchecked?
Aligned
I'm not sure what
elements.
that's referring to.
Yeah. Okay. I think they're referring to people hacking the elements to be in weird places, which is something we're not going to support if we ever have a skinning database because you can move elements around, so you don't need to use weird hacks for that. But yes, the answer to that is for sure. We again already have this designed. Flight's done a design up for it. It's just waiting on developer attention. That's the kind of thing that will come after Laser gets full leaderboards and stuff. But it's on my personal priority list. Like, there's so much work I want to do on the skin editor in Laser. That's one of my personal it's on my to-do list. It's going to be my focus as soon as I have the bandwidth to look at it. Skin editor and bitmap editor are the two areas I really want to improve on. So look forward to a lot more flexibility to next.
Okay. And will there be a way to give certain custom rule sets official recognition by giving them their own leaderboards, editors, and potentially ranking criteria such mode-specific staff?
Yeah, definitely. That's the reason we added rule sets. There's obviously going to need to be some kind of quality control there and also support for all the existing systems. So the way we're designing the new score storage and all the new infrastructure is set to be extensible to allow any number of rule sets. But there's still so many considerations. That's the kind of thing where once we're in a good state, once everyone's happy with Laser and we don't have anything else on our plate, we can decide what to do next. And that may be from a list of adding team support or adding custom rule set support, these kind of big tasks which we can then take on from a fresh slate.
Yeah, a lot of places like our server spectator, which handles the multiplayer side of things, we've disabled custom rule sets for the time being, but they could be switched on pretty easily.
Yep. And I think even if we don't have full full leaderboards support, like global leaderboards, we can potentially, the first step would be adding playlist and multiplayer support, because then you could have instantiated leaderboards and multiplayer for custom rule sets. And really all we need to do to make that happen is the rule sets would need to have a way to upload them to us, a way for us to verify that they're not doing anything malicious, because rule sets are just DLLs which can run any code on users' PCs. So we would want to make sure that they don't do anything dodgy. And obviously we want some kind of automation around that. So, there's a lot of things to consider, but yeah, it is something we will get to.
Yeah, eventually have some signing process and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Should we do some more voice questions?
Yep.
Okay, the Yeet God.
Hello.
Hey.
Sorry, I'm a bit nervous. But I just had a question regarding, you probably get this a lot, but I just had a question regarding like the future of the game, Like, do you think there will ever be like a completely finished version of Osu? Forgive me if I'm pronouncing it wrong.
Yeah, okay, so yeah. It's a hard one to answer. I have no intentions of stopping working on the game, for the best or worst, as long as there's people playing it. So I don't think there'll ever be at least as long as myself and Smoogie and other people that care about the development of the game are alive, I don't think there is going to be a final version. We will keep iterating and keep improving. There's so many suggestions from the community of things they want to see in the game that it's just not going to end.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Did you have another aspect to that question?
No, that's it. Thanks for responding to my question, and I hope you guys have a good night, or at least that's where I'm from.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It's early morning here. We wake up for these meetings.
I see. Yeah,
But
it's
cheers.
not. Yeah, it's 9:38 for me over here.
Right.
All right. Well, I hope you guys have a good day, and
Thank you.
see you around.
Yeah, I have a lot of things I'd like to do in life that isn't OS, but I have this thing where I can only focus on one task or one project, and I'm not good at giving up on things. So as long as people are playing OS, then. And the other thing is that like development of OS is so interesting. Like it keeps me interested for life, because there's just so many new things we're adding into it, new technologies we're trying. We're always keeping up with the latest in infra, the latest in development strategies. I don't know. That's not the correct way of saying it, but keeping up with the .NET ecosystem, it's very interesting, and that's all I need as a developer, is to stay interested in what I'm working on. Smokey might have something to add to that. I don't know.
Not really. It's pretty much the same for me.
Cool. No, you.
Hello.
Hey.
I was just having a question. Sorry. I just have questions about what the plan is for integrating mobile controls into at least the Android version of OSLaser.
Okay. Yep.
Mainly like Tyco controls. Are you planning on doing like just assignable buttons anywhere, like assigning gamepads, or like something how Switch does it with Drum and Fun, where there's a digital drum on it that can be skinned? What's your plans on that?
Yeah, so we've already got the multi-touch support layer in the framework side of things. For the actual implementation, I don't have any specifics. We don't have any designs for it yet, and I know that there's a lot of different ways of doing it, and you kind of need to get it right in terms of how modular, how flexible the system is, without making it like a clusterfuck of buttons everywhere. So I do think people will be asking for a layout editor for the on-screen controls. So that's probably the direction we'll go, and we can probably reuse the skin editor we have, that kind of interface where you can just drag and drop buttons onto the screen, or maybe drag and drop like a Tyco drum onto the screen. Yeah, and that's just waiting on implementation. We will probably get to it. I get there's a huge need for that. Anyone that plays Laser on Android is really looking for that as the one feature that would make the game playable. But at the same time, we're trying to get the desktop version finished and on parity with stable first. So it's a bit of a hard one for us. Hoping that someone starts working on that for us because there's not that much to do to make it happen, to be honest. But yeah, so we already support, to answer your question from another angle, we already support like gamepads and external buttons, physical buttons that can already be bound to any game controls. So that support is there, and we're just going to be adding to that. So you would be able to create on-screen buttons and probably then map those buttons to any game controls you want. That's the kind of flexibility I think you will see.
Okay. Thank you.
No worries. Just before Danini jumps in, there was one question from Twitch chat. Future plans for map exporting folder weight is a problematic. I don't know what that means. So if Synod signed 888 has something more to add to that question, maybe they can do so. Danini, take it.
All right, hey, can you guys hear me?
We can, yes.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions for lasers. Lasers future. So in the release of laser, aka when it's replacing stable on the downloads, will stable in the future will not be able to submit old scores anymore?
Okay, so similar to what we did with stable fallback, which is the version before the current stable, the 2016, 2015 release
Mhm.
that was still running the old code that it was an older version of the graphics API, which means we had it live for like the good part of 6 years, even after we stopped working on it, because some people could only run that version. You'll see a pretty similar thing happening with Laser and Stable, where Stable will still be around and be updated to keep it running smoothly for, I would say, at very least 3 years. At a better estimate would be 5 years. And similar to stable fallback, we may remove features from it as things go on, as the population moves across to the newer version. But yeah, it's all about the community. So if we release Laser and half the community is like, fuck this, I'm staying with the old version, we're going to continue supporting that old version, to account for the fact that users are still there. So with stable fallback, we only turned it off after the user count got down to under 0.1% of the community. So that's the kind of level we'd be looking at.
Oh, all right. So that's cool. So I have another question, but this time is for the mobile version of Laser. Yeah, kind of interesting. So this is kind of, I think you have been asked a lot for this, but will there be like multi-touch support on Laser, like for streams or something like that?
Yeah, that's actually very similar to the last question that was just asked. There will be. We already have multi-touch support in the game, so it's just going to be about adding proper on-screen controls. And yeah, they will come. I don't have an ETA on when that'll happen, but I could definitely within the next year you'll see on-screen controls and better multi-touch support on mobile.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I got actually. So,
Cool.
thanks for answering my questions and thanks for developing the game. I'll see you maybe next week.
Yep, thanks a lot. Next week, right? It's every 2 weeks for those following. Any more text questions, Smuggy?
Oh, I got a fun one. Will Oscillator ever have 3D rendering?
Go on.
It's fun for me because 3D rendering is something that I want to do as well. And I have like a good mental image of how it will work, but actually getting it in practice is a bit of a challenge. And I'm also focusing on 2D for now. There's a lot of optimization still to be applied to 2D. and just want to make sure that that's perfect before moving on to 3D. And it's even without optimizations, there's still areas where it is imperfect. Like we have single frame issues around the place, which we'll need to resolve at some point.
We also need to support a thing called angle.
Thing called angle as well, but that's like a orthogonal thing.
Still
Right.
takes time though, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my answer to that, because I have a slightly different opinion to Smoogie about whether we ever need 3D. I think when we actually get to implementing it, the primary purposes would obviously be the things which the OS community wants to see 3D is one, the ability to add perspective to the Mania playfield. And the second one would probably be storyboards, actually adding 3D models into storyboards. And that's an interesting one because we actually had that working in stable. Like we got models loading on some weird branch. I think I'll be rat had that working. But yeah, you know, maybe there will be a time where we have like limited 3D support where it's only applied to those two areas, just as a testing thing. But I don't think we'll be using 3D in like the general game UI. But yeah, having it available in the framework is something that Smoogie will eventually get to, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. Framework is my focus. The Osmania thing can be done with like perspective transforms.
Yeah, we can actually make that happen without much work. Hack it in.
Yeah. Well,
The good thing
hopefully not a
about
hack, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about OS Framework and the way we've done everything is it's all in a hierarchy already. So we can just push a matrix transform to a certain subset of the hierarchy, and I think that's enough, right, to make it work.
Yeah, pretty much.
If the gameplay is isolated, we can just apply perspective transform to the game field, and it'll just work.
Yep.
Maybe one line of code. Okay, Mega, hello.
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 So I have a question regarding tablet support.
Tablet support, yes.
It's well, you have tablet support, but it's mainly focused on filters and stuff like smoothing and anti each other. So I want to know if those are getting worked on to get some like implementation
Sure.
on them.
Well, the underlying the project we're using for Laser is Open Tablet Driver, yeah, and they already have those as filters. So yeah, we will definitely add support for them. In fact, it's probably going to be like a 1 hour implementation to just add, we just need to expose the settings for the ones we want to actually see used.
So UI work.
Yeah,
mostly.
yeah. And the other thing is like I don't know if they haven't published a release for a while or not, but we're running a very old version, so we're going to need to bring that up to date. And I know they've done Open Tablet Driver is a really active project. They're doing amazing stuff over there.
They're currently working on 0.6, I think, 0.6. So
Yeah.
that's getting worked on right now.
Yep.
Yeah,
They're doing amazing.
7 months ago.
Yeah. Yeah, they've done a lot of refactoring, restructuring, so we're probably gonna have to do some changes from our side to get it up to date. But yeah, definitely, we'll probably do a survey of which filters the community uses,
It's a niche. It's like a niche thing, but it's needed for like a certain
for certain
percent
devices.
Yeah.
Yeah, we might have it under an advanced settings menu or something. Yeah, I definitely think we want support for it, so people don't have to just disable the in-game support and go and install external software, because that is the end goal, is to where possible have people able to play the game without requiring third-party tools.
Anyway, thank you for listening. Goodbye.
No worries. Thanks for your question. World Unseen.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey everyone. So two questions, a smaller one and a larger one. I'll start with a smaller one first. Is there discussion about exporting replays as a video straight from the Blazor client?
Yeah, it's something we could do. The reason I haven't really done that in stable, and also we don't really have it on our wish list, on our developer wish list, is there's just so many third-party tools which do that these days, and it's so integrated with like NVIDIA, Windows Game Bar. But I'm not sure we need support for that. That said, I do understand that there's like people that want to have like a one-click export for just exporting the gameplay portion, like so they can upload it somewhere to share their game footage. So, if there's enough support, we may look at it in the future. The way Laser has been architected means we can do that. We can do like non-real-time frame exports of gameplay. So the it can be done. It's just more like we don't want to spend the time implementing that when there's already such solid third-party solutions that most people have access to.
Fair enough. And then for my last question, I've been kind of skimming through a lot of your GitHub issues, and some things that really stuck out to me, from my personal experience at least, were some kind of subtle but noticeable performance differences between Windows and Linux. So I guess the bigger question here is, what is your acceptance criteria for pushing out OSU Laser as an update in terms of performance differences between platforms? So like Windows, Mac, and Linux, and also mobile. So is this a blocker? And if so, to what extent would a performance difference be a blocker?
Okay, yep. So with stable, with the current releases, we're only really targeting Windows. Linux and Mac OS users are generally using Wine to make the game run, which means that we don't really have like performance criteria for non-Windows platforms. But what we've heard from most users is that it's running better than Wine on the platforms which were using Wine. There's one exception, which is that on Linux right now there's a .NET level discrepancy in the way garbage collection is handled, which means that Linux and maybe some other platforms, or maybe it's some other CPUs, are getting stutters in the game, and we're aware of that, and we're kind of like Smoogie is very aware of it. We're kind of in discussions with the .NET team to try and figure out what's going on there, but it definitely looks to be a them issue, not an us issue. The size of the stacks cache or something is different on only Linux.
It's the size of the Gen 0 heap.
Gen 0 heap. I almost got it. Yeah, which means that garbage collections are happening less often than they should be, right?
Yeah, on Linux,
On Linux.
specifically.
Yeah.
There is a workaround to that, which if we have a launcher for the game, then
Yeah.
we'd be able to apply
Yeah, so
it.
we are looking into potential workarounds. I don't know, maybe we can actually apply it as part of the app image execution, because I don't think that just runs the executable file directly. I think you can actually pipe in envars or something.
Yeah.
Might be
True.
worth looking at that. Okay, Coin.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I have a question regarding score in Laser. Is it going to be score v2 or score v1? And if score v2, then how's that going to implement to a total ranked score? Because farming long maps would just be useless.
Yeah. So Laser is using like it's a new version of scoring, I guess you could say. It's closer to V2 than V1, but the actual displayed score isn't what we're using as the metrics. Internally, we're just storing statistics, and the displayed score. I don't know if you tried Laser, but there's actually a drop down where you can change how the score is displayed. So you can either make it display closer to how you would expect from stable, or the 1 mil max clamped score. So we kind of wanted to support those two parties, because that's the main contention between score V2 and V1. Apart from like the mechanic changes, is how the score is displayed. Your question, your follow up about how this is going to affect score farming. Well, yeah, I don't know. It's probably going to fuck it up quite considerably, but I don't really have any answers to that. That's not really it's not a focus we have when working on the competitive side of laser. So that score farming community may need to find new goals or redefine what their goals are or something, because it's not going to be a primary focus.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Yep. Yeah, the whole score farming thing, it's kind of something the community has made happen or made popular, and there's a very small following which is like aiming to play every map that gets released and every difficulty. Is it difficulty or is it ranked score that they follow? I don't remember, but yeah, we'll only support that for how big that following is, and I think it's small enough that it's not a primary consideration for us. It's more we're more interested in leaderboards, per map leaderboards, and overall PP. Uma, did we already have a question from Uma? I don't remember. Anyway.
While he gets in, they get in.
Yeah.
Let me answer one quick text question. Wiku is asking, I guess the new replay format will be JSON based. I think so. It's not going to be binary like the current replay format.
Think so, yeah. Yeah, we're generally all the new formats we're making, we're aiming to make them as passable as possible. You know, like the binary formats are great for performance, but these days it's not so much of an issue to have like a text-based format. And you know, we're even with the stable replays, they're getting 7-zip compressed. And whether you're 7-zipping binary or 7-zipping, stable isn't binary, is it? It's like a weird text format. But anyway, it doesn't matter what you're 7-zipping, the end size is not going to change that much. Yeah, LZMA, not 7-zip is the bundle format or whatever. It doesn't matter what the source data is. It's always going to end up roughly the same size. So yeah, definitely is JSON or YAML or something which can be easily passed by third-party apps and stuff. Uma.
Hi, so I already asked a question, but I have a couple more. I see that the OSU Spotlights channel is pretty dead. Is there any update on that, or will it be coming back?
Spotlight's kind of does Mango have any coverage on that? I don't know. It's the kind of thing which gets attention if there's enough user following for it, and I don't know that's the case right now, so it may be on hold. Definitely once we see more people like switching across to laser, that's where spotlights are run these days, right? In the playlist system.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think once we get more people involved there, they'll probably take off again because it's a really cool effort. But it does feel a bit wasted if there's only like 200 players playing them. So yeah.
All right.
I think Pishy Fat is currently working on those as a primary from the team side, but he may have left them for now. I haven't been following. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. I have one more question, but I don't know if you're able to answer it. Will there be a Hall of Shame V2? And yeah.
So talking about anti-cheating bans and stuff. Yeah, I don't know about that. I put out the Hall of Shame just as a test to see how it would be accepted by the community. It was basically I tweeted out all the people we were banning in one of our ban waves. I wasn't really that impressed with the response we got. Like, I don't think it's the correct way. I don't think it's the way we want to do things going forward. Like announcing this on or denouncing these people on Twitter, it just creates so much negativity that I don't think that will happen again. Obviously, we are still banning hundreds of users a day in the background, and we will do further similar ban waves, but we won't be publicizing them in the same way as far as I am concerned. That's the general consensus from the team, not just my opinion.
All right.
Yeah. Cool. Let's move on. Zet.
Just wanted to add a thing about spotlights. It's just a comment and observation, but spotlights has gone through so many cycles of development and sort of like rejuvenation efforts, but it just seems to lack a bit of momentum. It's kind of like kicking a rock a little. So I think it would be quite good if there were sort of new. Well, I feel like any new suggestion is kind of like another rejuvenation effort. I feel like there's been a lot of infrastructure for spotlights though, so maybe it could be rebranded into something else.
I do really think once laser is getting more attention, they're going to pick up. I think the playlist system is going to get a lot more attention, and spotlights are, pinned to the top of that system. So, fingers crossed. Like that's my hope. I really hope that playlists is a new way of people experiencing the competitive side of the game.
Okay.
And yeah, the way we're developing playlists is that there's going to be so many different settings that even spotlights can, set mod requirements or certain play requirements or change the way scoring is done to be accuracy based. We're planning on having so many settings that people can come up with their own play styles or their own profiles for multiplayer and playlists. Zet, how are you going?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so well, I had a little question about Laser, and well, I see that you recently implemented this theme manager for like the editor and the settings, maybe. And I was wondering if this is something that skinners will be able to take advantage of to like maybe change the color palette of the game and stuff like that.
Yeah, so the current the skin right, you're talking specifically about color, yeah?
Yeah, about the like theme editor or theme manager
Yeah.
that was
Yeah,
in
so
the recent.
have you tried the layout editor already? The skin layout?
Yeah, actually, I've tried it a couple times. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah,
is
so
this
the
similar?
next steps for that, which I personally want to do, because I kind of made that editor from scratch without designs. Flight hasn't really given us designs for that, so that's all just on the fly ad hoc what I feel works. The next things I'm going to be adding to that is like a similar to the bitmap editor. On the right hand side of the screen, there's going to be like properties for the current selection. So you'll be able to see all the sprites which a certain skin component is using. So let's take the health bar as an example. You click onto it, and then on the right hand side, you'll see all the different pieces, the components which make it up, and you can click onto those and then replace the sprites. You change the color of them. Potentially in the future add animations to them or change the style of the animation, the duration, the easing type. And that's going to be customizable on a per element basis. And one of the other big things I think is going to improve skinning is on the left-hand side you have the toolbox where you can add new skin elements. One of the ones I want to prioritize is just a sprite element, so people can add like sprites or textures or animations anywhere on the screen, and that's going to help, I think, for people which have until now made skins where the health bar is taking up the full screen space to add a border on the playfield or something like that. It's going to allow, this free form element to skinning where people can make non-interactive elements that are anywhere on the screen.
Okay, I see. And well, yeah, like the main question was about this theme manager. You know, if we were gonna be able to like maybe make some adjustments to it to like change the color of the settings screen or anything like that, or is that not?
Right. Yeah, so we have designed the game to allow like colors to be changed at a high level, but for the time being, we're not going to allow color changes on the interface or the website because they're themed by the area they're in. So like beatmaps have a certain color, skins have not skins, beatmaps, rankings, community. Those kinds of areas have different colors assigned to them. So we won't be allowing that level of UI customization initially, but if there is enough support behind adding that kind of thing, maybe we can have a huge shift or something like that.
Okay. So yeah, that was my question then. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we're at
All right.
11:05. We've got about 10 minutes to spare, I guess. Smokey, you got
I want to take
text
a
question?
clarity question from last week.
Yeah.
From Mr. Kirby. VIP member.
Ah, I forgot to scroll down in the. Oh my god. Whatever.
So I got a few questions.
Few. Okay.
Yeah. So my first question is, will Laser support streaming assets? Like if someone makes a multiplayer match with a specific rule set or a beat map, the other people can join without having to download the rule set or beat map first, like in stable.
Yeah, yeah. I have architected everything with that in mind because I really think people should be able to play the map without like audio, that level of streaming. So like the first thing that comes down is the OSU file, and the rest follows and loads in as things go. So everything is done to support that, and we will definitely, once we get to feature parity, rather than OS Direct downloading OSZ files, it's going to be downloading the individual files of beatmaps. And internally in Laser, all beatmaps share the same files. So if the same audio file is used in two maps, or in the case of like skins, hit sounds, it's already like in my Laser database I can see like 100 plus maps sharing the same files, and it's kind of cool to see. But yeah, that's the kind of direction. You only need to download files you don't already have in your local database eventually, pending server-side support.
My second question, are there plans to support submitting scores while offline? So for example, internet connection while playing and I close the game, the next time I open it, it submits them again?
No. Don't think so. The general direction we're going is to require more connectivity, if anything, not less. And that's just from a authenticity verification perspective. Once you allow offline scores, you kind of can't do a lot of verifications that you could do if you have real-time
Yeah, makes
data
sense.
coming in.
My third question, will there be a database of custom rule sets? Like the same way there's a beat map listing, or maybe like an official rule set listing?
Yeah, that was asked in a earlier question, but yeah, definitely it's something we want to eventually support, but it's going to be one of the things that comes later after we finish everything else, and then poll the community for what they want to see next, whether that's going to be custom rule sets with leaderboards or a skinning database, or those kinds of big efforts which require new systems coming up.
Okay, well, thank you. That was pretty much it. I have
Cool.
one last question, but I feel like it might be a tiny bit controversial.
Save it for next week. We're running like into the end of the time.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. Smiggy, any more priority or text questions or anything?
I don't think so.
Okay, so I'm going to take 3 more questions then, the next 3 people in the list, and we'll stop it there. For anyone else that has their hand up to speak, keep your hand up because we'll take a screenshot at the end and you'll get priority at the start of the next meeting. Just want to check that the original screenshot.
I guess there's
No
a
one's.
quick one, but I'm not entirely sure. Has anyone mentioned anything about spectating tournaments in game, like how CS:GO has handled it?
Yeah, we're almost there.
Yeah, so
I mean,
in the
you can already
new
spectate multiplayer.
Yeah, we can already spectate entire multiplayer lobbies in the game right now. I just haven't hooked that up with any tournament designs yet, but eventually.
Yeah, and all the Laser tournament stuff, like the tournament client which World Cup is using, is all part of Laser, and we've developed that in a way where it can just be moved across the client. Eventual goals TM. Yeah. Okay. Rekunan.
Hi. So I have two questions. My first one is with the ranking criteria. So since you guys are planning on lifting like some of the restrictions, do you think there would be like any plans to let 2B and tag maps rankable?
Rankable. So two
they
ways to
already?
answer that. Yeah. I thought 2B are tag maps are not, but right? Like tag 4 maps.
Right now they
Oh.
aren't. No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
There's a few exceptions to that, but yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. That's more of a question of what ranked means to us. Maybe not, but they could be in loved or something. But also, like the new systems we're developing, like playlists, are going to allow maps to get like leaderboards and whatnot without being ranked. So I think that's going to be the direction, if anything, like adding leaderboard support to all pending maps. That's not done yet, right? No.
I didn't hear.
No. We don't have leaderboards on pending maps, right?
No.
Yeah, okay. Just checking. I feel like I may have implemented that in a dream one night.
Okay.
That's what loved is.
Yeah, that's what loved is.
Yeah, that makes sense. And for my second question, so on the topic for like offline submission, is there going to be like a timeout or like how often it can be offline before it submits?
Haven't really nailed out the specifics of that, but you can expect something similar to stable. There'll be some degree of retry support. Obviously, we need to support crappy connections, like people in China behind 5 VPNs. So we're gonna have to make certain considerations there, but you can rest assured that we're gonna make it work for the majority of the community, one way or the other.
All right, thank you.
No worries. Hi.
Hello, hello.
How's it going?
Good. Two questions. One big and one small. I'll go with the small one first.
Yeah.
Small one. It's more of a personal curiosity. Why is the default installation location app data rather than program files, which seems more conventional to me?
I would need to re-look at the documentation, but I'm pretty sure Microsoft recommends using app data these days. Program files has kind of been deprecated as far as I could tell.
I think program files has like permissions issues actually on your installs.
Yeah, I think you actually need UAC to put files in program files these days. Microsoft's recommendations is to put the app in app data local and the settings in app data remote. Roaming, sorry, not remote. So that's the reason we've done that. If there's a reason to put things in program files, then we can reconsider. But also at the same time, we're just using the defaults which Squirrel exposes, which is the same installer updater engine that things like Visual Studio Code use and other applications. So it's a standard right now. I'm going to be rewriting that to make a custom updater installer, and at that point we may reconsider that. But yeah, that's the reasoning why. I think even stable installs app data by default these days.
Yeah, that's more I was working on. Again, it's more of a curiosity rather than like a need
Yeah,
to change.
yeah.
All right, and the actual meaty question I have is that, from my impression, I understand that you guys and the community members who work a lot work well and take a lot of time in integrating community feedback into the direction you're going forward, which is great. But from my position, I sometimes find it hard, or I find it hard most of the time, to see what the direction you've picked is.
One sec, you're breaking up a bit.
Oh dear, oh dear. Hey, better?
Try talking again.
Hello, hello.
Sounds fine on my end.
That wasn't just me, right?
Hello?
I think it's
Is that
fine
better?
on you.
Smokey,
Yeah.
can you hear?
Yeah.
It's
Can
just
you not?
okay. It's my end. What the hell? You can't even change the server which the voice channel is using.
Smokey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, good. It's not my mic then. Sorry.
He's just reconnecting. Just typing out the questions, so I'm not like fully
Okay,
immersed. You know.
I can hear again. Let's try that once more. Sorry.
Okay, cool.
I heard up to the part where you said we're good at integrating community feedback, but I
Yes,
didn't.
you're. I think you guys are really good at integrating community feedback. But I personally find it a bit difficult to see where, like, if you've chosen community feedback to action on, or you have a specific direction or vision that you're going for, whether it be like short term or long term, like, what is it you're doing, if that makes sense? Like, do you, is there like, and not just in a sense where like, yeah, I could go into every Discord where community people are at and look at every forum post and keep an eye on all the Discord channels. But that's like you have to go out and look for that. But is there do you have plans? I know this is work. Like I'm aware that when anything I ask would be for more work. But would there be like an idea to have a more like accessible sort of roadmap or news post about things you're working on, or like an Oshu Kino even, just something?
Yeah. So have you? What was I going to say? Are you talking specifically about development here, or actual community like ranking criteria, that kind of stuff as well?
I mean, a bit of everything, because like when you get feedback, it's for all parts, and then you integrate it and you decide to do something. So anything regarding that, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So from the development side, I did actually start doing a roadmap on Instagram. Did you ever see that?
I
think
did.
you may have. Yeah.
I'm in more of a, I don't know. I guess I'm more looking for like a digest format, but I realize that's work
Yeah.
to do. So
Yeah. Yep. For sure. It's like these community meetings were kind of intended to be a way of creating some kind of digest. Like we were going through our general next tasks on the list at the end of each meeting. I spent like 5 minutes looking at those, and we also have the development meetings every second Wednesday. But again, it's as you say, it's something which you need to actually know about and look into to find. Yeah, I can agree with that. We need like a digest, and it would be really cool if someone stepped in and like made monthly or bi-weekly videos or text updates, maybe even like bi-weekly Reddit posts which cover all the changes or all the current effort which the team's working on. If anyone's interested in doing something like that, then reach out. And you know, if it means that we need to create like a text channel or somewhere where you can see what's going on, or where we actually say what we're working on. We do internally have like a stand-up channel where all the team members say what they're doing for that day, but it still needs someone to aggregate that data, and we don't have anyone right now. So yeah, that's kind of where things stand. I don't disagree, but yeah.
sure, makes sense. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Cool, thank you. And I think I said one more, so let's take. What?
Okay.
Should we call it there?
Let's take one more.
maybe-
Let's take one more.
Okay. Zesties, ask a quick question, please.
Hello?
Hey.
Okay, so my question is about Osu Mobile. I know it's not much of a priority, but is there like plans to have imports from the music in like your phone or iPad or whatever into the editor? Like, because I know it's hard for like Apple and like it's a bit of hard to work around that. But is there like possible, things like that?
Yeah, so you will be able to import files. You won't be able to import them from like Apple Music, but if you have them in like your Files app, you'll be able to move them across. I don't think we would want to support Apple Music directly, just because people may think that that's the correct way to license, or they may think that we already have permission to use the songs like that. But as long as we're still doing uploads of the music to our servers, that won't really work. There may be a future where we have like Apple Music integration or something. I did actually, in a distant past, this is going to get long, but I did actually get Spotify integration working, where us would actually integrate with the Spotify API and play the songs from Spotify and just overlay the gameplay, which was one direction I was thinking, like that's how we could avoid licensing issues for gameplay. But it didn't really. I don't know how Spotify would like that, but that's the kind of direction we could. I know there are other rhythm games on iOS which do that exact same thing. They will play the music from Apple Music and add gameplay to it. So it is a potential direction if there's enough user demand for it. Obviously, it means we would have to figure out how to support that on desktop applications. But maybe it can be like mobile only for the maps created that way. But yeah, we're a small team, and that's obviously not the focus of the OS community. So it's a definite outlier in something that sounds like it would be cool, but may never happen due to development time constraints.
All right, thank you.
No worries. Okay, so I think we'll call it there. We've exceeded our exceeded time limit, where we said we would only go 15 minutes over. Just do a quick dev update on progress, like I've been doing in the previous meetings. So I've been working on a huge refactor effort of Laser. It's like when we started work on Laser and decided to rewrite Laser because stable wasn't in the best state. It's like that level of refactor that I'm working on, which is just refactoring how we're storing data, how we're modeling data, beat maps, scores, replays, skins. Because we're in the process of moving to a new database engine for the client-side storage, which is going to make the whole game more reliable, more performant, and just make it easier for us to develop going forward. Integer asks, is Realm a nightmare to work with? No, Realm is like, I can't wait to finish migrating to Realm because it's going to make things so much easier, so much more robust for us as developers, that once we get there, it's going to be amazing. The problem is we've been doing things in such a haphazard way until now that implementing a system like Realm, where it's doing proper ACID, if you follow, if you know database terms, proper ACID transaction support, proper threading. Because we've been doing things so haphazardly, it's very hard to migrate to it. And that's what I'm working on right now, is the prerequisites to switching to the new client-side database. But once it's done, and I am getting there bit by bit, it should be like all these issues that I don't know anyone who's been using Laser will know that occasionally the database will just chuck out random errors during imports and crap. That's what we're trying to fix with this change. And it's going to allow us to like add more skinning stuff and a lot. It basically makes adding new things to the database much easier. And we need it for, there's so many things which have it as a prerequisite, like doing proper difficulty calculation caching locally. It's going to allow us to improve performance a lot more in various aspects. Smoogie has been working on new additions to the multiplayer system, which is going to allow queuing beatmaps as a host, or even allowing people in the room to queue them up just in like a round robin kind of system. So things like host rotate are going to be made a lot easier via that system. On the web side of things, work is still going on to get score pinning on profiles, which means you'll be able to have a section on your profile where you can choose which scores are displayed. It won't be your top scores as such, but scores you're proud of or want to keep around. And there's ongoing work to improve the way we're doing thumbnail generation for beatmaps, which means we will eventually be able to give the user the option to customize the thumbnail that's displayed, the area which is displayed on beatmap covers, that kind of thing. And what else? There's still ongoing work on Laser audio sound effects. Necodex is working on the song select sounds now to make them not placeholders. I think that just about sums it up. Oh, we did go live with the featured artist search page. You can now search across the featured artist catalog using BPM, genre, that kind of thing. Makes it a lot easier to find songs to map. And there's a new featured artist listing page, which is going to be coming in the near future. There's also ongoing work on the design updates to user profiles and the beatmap details page, bringing them up to the latest design logic, which we're currently like one design behind Flight's latest version. So those are both in review stages and may hit within the next 2 weeks. We'll see how that goes. Yeah. Anything else to close out with, Smokey?
No, I think that's it.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks to everyone for coming along. I think that was a really good meeting. We had some good questions asked, and yeah, we'll do this again in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, we have a dev meeting as well on Wednesday where a lot of the things that Pepe just said will probably be touched on.
Yep. Anyone interested in that? Wednesday UTC 0300? No, 0330? Something around that time anyway.
No clue.
Cool. Okay. Catch you all
Right.
next time.
See yous. Thanks.